Hustle culture. It's become a buzzword in today's society, particularly in the world of entrepreneurship and business. It glorifies the idea of working long hours, sacrificing personal time, and putting in immense effort to achieve success. The idea is that by hustling, you can achieve greatness and reach your goals faster than anyone else. While this may seem like an attractive idea, is hustle culture just a modern-day Trojan horse? Let's dive in and find out.
Enjoy that. Enjoy eating and dirt and bleeding and the grind.
Motivation is not a real thing. You're never going to be permanently motivated to do things that you don't want to do.
The weak motherfuckers of the world are committed when everything's in a perfect setting.
I want you to eat shit for the next day.
Hi, I'm Marcus Bales. I'm a professional speaker and author specializing in human communication. And to answer this question, we first must step back in time to a simpler era, before the phrase hustle culture even existed and humans were working themselves to death for other reasons. The study of this phenomenon didn't really start until the early 1970s, when Wayne Oates coined the term workaholism in his book, Confessions of a Workaholic: The Facts About Work Addiction, in which he defines the term as the uncontrollable need to work incessantly. The main difference between workaholism of the 1970s and the hustle culture of today is the way it is talked about. Being a workaholic in the 1970s was not a compliment. Oates describes a workaholic as a person whose need for work has become so excessive that it creates noticeable disturbances or interferences with their bodily health, personal happiness, and interpersonal relationships. The effects of workaholism were well known and cautioned against, but the benefits for a capitalist system were far too great to be ignored. Companies began to see year-over-year growth, increased productivity, and record-high profits from the rise of workaholics. So its virtues were spread at company meetings and through corporate propaganda. But the public already had a negative connotation with workaholism and saw right through their thinly veiled attempts to increase productivity. So, how could corporations disseminate this ideology without being detected? Well, Greek mythology, of course. In Homer's now famous poem, The Odyssey, he tells of a clever band of Greek soldiers. According to the legend, the city of Troy was besieged by the Greeks for 10 years, but they were unable to penetrate the city's walls. So the Greeks came up with a clever plan to trick the Trojans and gain entry into the city. They built a giant wooden horse and left it outside the gates of Troy as an apparent offering to the goddess Athena. The Trojans, thinking it was a peace offering, brought the horse inside the city walls. However, unknown to them, the horse was hollow, and inside were Greek soldiers. That night, the Greeks emerged from the horse and opened the gates of Troy, allowing their army to enter the city undetected. The term Trojan horse has now become a metaphor describing a situation where one party uses the cover of an innocuous action to covertly gain power over someone else. The most popular example is the computer virus sharing the same name, which downloads malware onto a victim's computer disguised as legitimate software. A Trojan horse can also be used in verbal communication, cleverly disguising someone's true intentions behind the guise of empathy or motivation. Has your parent or partner ever said something to the effect of, "You're so good at washing the dishes," and in your state of pride and accomplishment, you didn't realize that they just manipulated you into washing the dishes? This is a linguistic Trojan horse, using words to infiltrate instead of a giant wooden horse. Unlike our dishes example though, companies use this tactic with more dishonorable intentions. Perhaps they want to motivate an entire generation into working longer hours for less money. They can't just flat out say, the shareholders need a new yacht, so we need you to work 80 hours this week. Instead, they could disguise the request as aspirational motivation. You deserve a yacht, and all you have to do is work really hard and you can get one. Pretty sneaky, right? But what happens to the motivation when not everyone gets a yacht? You put the blame on the individual. You clearly didn't work hard enough, but if you keep trying, you will succeed eventually. And thus, hustle culture was born. The false ideology that success is solely based on hard work and effort, the perfect creed to make Twitter staff work 84 hours a week, or force Amazon drivers to pee in bottles during their shifts. It creates the assumption that the only value we have as human beings is our productivity, capability, our ability to work, rather than our humanity, says Aidan Harper, creator of the 4-Day Week campaign. While hard work is important, success is often a result of a combination of factors such as privilege, luck, and opportunity, but that's not nearly as catchy. So, greed-hungry individuals and companies peddle hustle culture as the end-all be-all for success, promoting the idea that success is the ultimate goal and anything else is considered failure. This creates a toxic environment that encourages competition rather than collaboration. This may all sound a bit conspiratorial, and it is. I can't prove for a fact that hustle culture is strictly a linguistic Trojan horse used by greedy people who stand to profit from it. But the motive is clearly there. Look at the individuals who promote hustle culture. They all have something to gain from it. Some are business owners who want to get their employees to work harder, and others have something to sell you. Most of these so-called gurus made the majority of their fortune selling the dream of success to the average Joe, covering their own ass with the false idea that if you don't succeed, it's because you didn't work hard enough, or you didn't buy enough of their courses. You're only 12 easy payments of $49.95 away from achieving your wildest dreams. Like a success slot machine whose gifts are only given to those who pay to play. And we believe them, because they drive around in exotic cars or party at the most exclusive nightclubs. Of course they know what they're talking about. Look at how successful they are. This is another clever trick designed to appeal to our hierarchical brains. Humans love hierarchies. We crave the idea that some people are better than others. And this thinking can leave us vulnerable to a prominent psychological phenomenon, the authority bias. Also known as the halo effect, this is a cognitive bias where individuals tend to attribute greater accuracy, trustworthiness, and credibility to information or opinions provided by perceived authority figures or experts in a particular field. This bias can influence people's judgment and decision-making process. So when you see an outwardly confident and successful person, your brain can't help but trust them. However, the authority bias can lead to errors in judgment if we blindly accept information or opinions solely based on the authority or status of the source, without critically evaluating the content. It can prevent us from questioning or challenging information presented by authority figures, even when it may be flawed or inaccurate. In my book, Don't Shut Up, I discuss one of the most heinous examples of the authority bias, the trial of Adolf Eichmann. Eichmann was one of the key architects of the Holocaust, responsible for organizing and coordinating the deportation and extermination of millions of Jews during World War II. In 1960, he was captured by Israeli intelligence agents in Argentina, and in 1961, he stood trial for his actions. During the trial, he claimed to have been a mere bureaucrat following orders and denied personal responsibility for the atrocities, becoming one of the most famous examples of the authority bias and its effects. Hustle culture may not have the same dire consequences, but it too utilizes the authority bias to sway its believers to act in ways that may go against their best interests. The idea of working constantly and sacrificing personal time can lead to burnout, stress, and health problems. In the long run, this can have a negative impact on individuals' mental and physical well-being. According to the Harvard Business Review, workaholics reported a higher need for recovery, more sleep problems, more cynicism, more emotional exhaustion, and more depressive feelings than employees who merely worked long hours but did not have workaholic tendencies. Hustle culture language often promotes a toxic and unhealthy work environment. The use of phrases such as grind, hustle, and no days off suggest that the only way to achieve success is through sacrifice. This can lead to a culture of overwork and burnout, where individuals feel pressured to work beyond their limits and sacrifice their physical and mental well-being for the sake of success. Such language can also create a sense of guilt or shame for those who prioritize self-care or have other responsibilities outside of work, which promotes a toxic and unhealthy work environment, perpetuates harmful stereotypes and assumptions, and creates a sense of exclusivity and alienation. It is important to recognize your own limitations and strive for a more inclusive and collaborative, balanced work approach for success. I myself have fallen into the hustle culture echo chamber more than a few times, working myself to near exhaustion in the hopes that this time I would succeed. But I missed the point entirely. Success is not a tangible goal because it's an ever-moving target that can never be reached. If you love something, then do it. If you find great joy in spending thousands of hours on your passion, then I think you should. But don't let hustle culture pressure you into mentally or physically bankrupting yourself. As the ultra-successful entrepreneur Andrew Winkleson once said, you don't have to make yourself miserable to be successful. So, regardless of its intentions, it is important to recognize the limitations of hustle culture and strive for a more inclusive, collaborative, and balanced approach to work and success. By doing so, we can create a more equitable and sustainable society that values the well-being of all of its members. If you want to become a better speaker, check out my new book, Don't Shut Up, available now on Amazon, Audible, and Kindle. If you like this video, hit that like button. If you want to see more content just like this, hit that subscribe button. And thank you so much for watching.